Hello, 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 hello. I can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you. I don't know why you were testing the mic because you couldn't hear anything because you didn't have any ears in.
I was looking at my levels over there to make sure it was recording.
Oh, you hide that from me.
Recording. I'm recording in two places, but my main recording over there.
I was about to say, your mic's not turned the right way because that didn't sound right.
What are you talking about?
Now it sounds good. It didn't for a second.
I was looking away like this. I was doing this right here.
I was looking right at your head and it was on top of the mic.
This is mic technique. Mic technique.
Mic check.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Krista.
We are
You tried.
brutally
You tried to get me.
You brought snacks and drinky water and
I'm
all
breastfeeding.
that stuff.
I'm breastfeeding. I get all the excuses in the world.
And you tried to offer me one. I was like, no, the professional does not phlegm up his voice before chatting. Nor do I bring crinkly things in here.
I just stay healthy. Look, I haven't brought the crinkly thing on
Listen,
mic yet.
What are you doing? Stop.
I pushed my mic way far away, took my last bite, and set it aside.
Why are you doing this? Get it away from the microphone.
I really
not
wish.
funny.
I wish this was a YouTube channel so everybody could see your lies.
There are no lies.
God, do you know what?
It's only theater of the mind.
Do you want to know something? It has been officially 8 days since I've been pregnant.
8 days. If you listen to our last episode,
Glorious.
we knock this down just a hair. We were live from the hospital during induction, and it I don't know, it was pretty short, but it went well. We weren't sure
Our
how it was going to
episode.
go. The episode.
I didn't know what the thing you were going to be referring to, so I didn't want to step on you.
But everything ultimately went well. It was a pretty long labor.
No, it was the short labor. It was a long, long day, though.
It was about the same. Was it the same amount of time though?
Nah, I mean, it was a shorter labor than.
So we started at 8 a.m. for this one. We started at what?
No, 10 a.m. because they didn't start the induction drugs till 10.
Oh, the Pitocin.
Yeah. No, I was in labor for 14 hours with our first. But I mean, actual, real pushing labor was short. Yeah, and intense labor was about 7 hours.
Pushing took longer this time.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Everything went sideways, y'all.
It went a little sideways.
We made it home safe.
We had a good team.
We're good.
Looking out for us.
Thank
Shout
God.
out to the hospital, nurses and midwife
And doctor.
Doctor popped in for a little bit. We didn't have the doctor pop in last time. It was like a celebrity guest showed up.
And just a doctor I used to see too.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, thank God she's a familiar face.
Yeah, it was like the doctor's coming. The doctor's coming. You hear the doctor's going to step in for a second.
They were like, Dr. So-and-so. And I was like, wait. Dr. blah, 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 so-and-so. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, whoo. And then I was like, oh, shoot, a doctor has to come in. Something's up.
Yeah.
And then they prepped me for C-section.
So the Pitocin itself actually went okay.
Anyway, we're dancing around it. Yeah, it went
Pitocin
sideways.
itself went fine, which is the part you were worried about. It was like, how are you going to feel on Pitocin? Which
It made those, it did make contractions hurt. I will say that.
yeah.
I don't know.
They
if
hurt last time.
They hurt last time. I can't remember, but I would say, okay, so yeah, it might be, I might be saying causation when it's really just a correlation type of thing. But
Yeah.
by the time I got my epidural, I had to make them wait to give me the epidural so I could breathe through some pretty intense contractions.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I don't know if it was just that it's more intense or it's just the fact that it's just like they just start.
Yeah.
It's not like, I think with the last one, you were just kind of having small leading up to. These are just like, all right, we're just going to go ahead and throw your body into full blown labor.
Yeah. And that is actually something I read about Pitocin was because your body just does start exactly that. Like you get no time to get used to it and to kind of like
So
work
maybe
up
that's
to.
what feels worse.
Maybe, yeah. It was pretty intense. But I mean, I guess last time was intense too because I was like, give me the drugs. Give me all the drugs last time.
Well, and it's interesting because last time we didn't actually have to do the Pitocin thing. We weren't induced any of that, but I didn't know how it went. I guess it used to be that they would just give one huge dose of Pitocin, but now they actually, I guess it's pretty smart. They do an IV drip and they just like, well, we're just going to give you X amount.
Are you confusing the epidural and the Pitocin?
Maybe. Do they always ramp up Pitocin slowly or?
Never had a baby like that before, so not quite sure. But I know that we were talking about how epidurals were given in
it was just like one doses. Shot,
yeah. But
dose.
Epidural this time.
The epidural last time I think was a drop too.
I was pretty out of it last time, so but this time it's a continuous drip.
Yeah.
Thank God. I'll say thank God this time.
So they just kind of ramped. I don't even think they had to ramp you up very much either.
No, I got
they didn't have to get at 8. Is it?
I got 8.
Yeah.
She's like, we have people range from like 6, like they might go ahead and go at 6, and some people need like 32, and I was like 8.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So got you to the point of being ready to go. They actually, before you were to the point of being ready to go, they were like, all right, well, we'll get your epidural in, and it's after the epidural when things started to get weird.
Well, they were like, when I asked for the epidural, they were like, oh yeah, so and so is here. Like, it's got Brett, and he's great. You're lucky, he's here today.
Yeah.
And then they told me I was third in line, and I was like, okay, glad I told you when I did, because I'm at like a 4 on the pain scale, maybe a 5. Like, I don't really want to get to a 7 without an epidural. I'm kind of a wuss. And then they came in and they were like, yeah, they just finished up with 1, so you're like number 2 on the list. And it was starting to get a little hurty. And then they were like, we're going to get this person to come in and do your epidural instead. And I was like, whoa.
Where's Brett?
I want the
Where's Brett?
I want the varsity squad.
Yeah.
And then, so with my first labor with first child.
She comes in, she's like, oh man, I hope you guys are doing all right. I've always wanted to do one of these. You're like, what?
With my first child, Brett did that epidural actually. And I could feel my body below my waist, but I couldn't feel pain. So like I could feel my muscles and make my muscles push the way I wanted to. I could slightly move my legs, and it was great. Like that, I think that's
perfect
why
balance.
It was a perfect balance, exactly. Like
right.
I think that's why we got 10 pushes and got the kid here. This time it was like you chopped my legs off and I didn't know where you put them because I was like, I thought my feet were right straight out in front of me, outstretched, and they had me like froggy style. Yeah. Like I had no clue. And because I had no feeling at all, I couldn't really push very well. So you
didn't know you could push. You just didn't know if you were pushing correctly.
I did. Sure, I could push. I held my breath, and they told me I was doing something. I was like, "Cool, you could have fooled me." I just thought I was holding my breath.
Yeah,
like I had no clue what I was doing. So it was weird to have done it before and done it right and done it well, and then be like, "I don't know what's happening."
Well, not only that. So the problems started too after the epidural.
Oh, yeah. And I skipped over a big part.
And all of a sudden, you couldn't maintain your blood pressure.
You say it like I failed, man.
No. Your body, because of the epidural, couldn't maintain your blood pressure.
I'm sorry, I was
dropping,
just joking.
Right?
Yeah, it was going too low.
It was going
Which
low.
I was really scared of beforehand, and my mom reports she was scared of beforehand too, for some reason.
Clairvoyant. You're clairvoyant mom.
Yeah, me too.
But so I'm watching this, and the only thing that tipped us off and that kind of got the nurse's attention was that the baby's heart rate was dropping.
Yeah.
With contractions.
Yeah. Every time I had a contraction, his heart rate was going from like 135 where it should be to like 60, which is not where a baby's heart rate should be.
Well, I'll say this though. I was watching
and it was popping back up when the contraction would stop, but
it was coming back, but I was watching your blood pressure, and yes, it was dipping, but it wasn't like extreme dipping. It wasn't extreme dipping like you would think, but it
got down to 90 over 50 at one point. That's pretty low.
It got low a couple times, yes.
I think it got down to 40 on the diastolic, the low number, the bottom number at one point too.
And then, so they pumped you some drugs to get that back up.
Well, they pumped fluids first, then they tried a dose of drugs, then they tried another dose of that drugs, and then you
got really cold because they were like, the fluid was just flying into your arm.
Yeah, so like the fluid made me shiver because the fluid's coming in my arm at like 74 degrees.
Room temp, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not supposed to be that temperature.
Right.
So I was
shivering.
shaking uncontrollably.
And then they gave you a couple different things. They gave you two doses of one type of medicine that brings up your blood pressure. Worked briefly, came back down. They had to end up getting like a special authorization for a time release version of that, or it was a time release, like it was like a, I don't know, some sort of time release blood pressure medication, and that got you back to where it was. Heart rate was still going up and down. They were kind of like, you could tell,
like 7 people were in the room at this point, which is never good.
You were laying there. I was watching everybody, and it was kind of like everybody was very keeping a good face on, but they were very intent on watching the numbers and watching your contractions. And
I was watching the same thing.
And I was like,
I knew something. I knew they weren't happy with what was going on. I would say that.
Right. And so they were like, all right, so what we're going to do is go ahead and get you ready just in case you've got to have a C-section done. We're going to get you just prepped for it and blah, blah, blah. And I could hear them talking to each other. And she was like, yep, go ahead and get the room ready, blah, blah, blah. So they had like surgeons standing by. They had the room, the OR room was ready for you.
And the second they said it, like, and I knew it was coming. I knew what they were about to tell us. But the second it like came out of their mouths, that's when like I just started streaming tears. I was like, "Hey guys, like my blood pressure's dropping. You're about to take me into surgery where I'm gonna bleed. Like, let's talk about getting me home to the other one that needs me too. Like, we need to make this work, y'all."
Well, and about that time they were prepping you for that. The doctor came in,
She felt more confident, I think, than she saw the situation, and while was like, let's be prepared, she felt confident we could go.
Well, the doctor, let's just say this. The doctor came in like a rock star.
She is a rock star. She's
she was
a
just
really
like,
good doctor.
she was dressed really nice, except for like the coat, They hadn't even put her
She's
her room
badass.
coat on. And she just came in. She was like looking. She's like,
She got her hair done.
Her hair's done. Yeah, she was
like,
She was looking sharp, and she was like, things are looking good. Like, just didn't even furrow her brow once. She was like, all right, let's get this baby here. Let's try it. She just, and then she's like, we need to, I'll get the, whatever, the vacuum out, and we'll pull them through.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I've done that a million times too.
I told her when she came in, and it's been a few years since I saw her, just because we were seeing like a PA or a midwife because of pregnancies. And I was like, hey, I've been your patient a couple times. Like, I think I started seeing you back when I was like in my 20s. And she was like, woo, that hurts to hear. And I was like, I didn't mean it like that, but we go way back. Let's get this going.
But at the same time, she's probably seen a healthy percentage of the city.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Of the town we're in,
well,
right?
And your stepsister goes to that practice. Half the kids' moms at our daycare go to that practice. Like, that's a safest. It's a very busy,
it's a very
facility.
busy practice, but what can only be described as a confidence that only comes with having done this 1.7 million times.
I would say
is
so.
what she, that there's 10,000 hours is mastery.
Yes.
And he's fine. Stop
He's
looking.
kicking.
I'm watching.
Kicky.
10,000 hours is mastery. So she kind of had that vibe of just kind of like, I've seen it all, but not in like a shell-shocked way. Like just we're going to be fine here, blah, blah, blah. And so before they were like talking about whether they should take you over to OR, whether you should just go ahead and try. And she's like, let's just do it. Her and the midwife just got in there, started coaching you. And it took a while for you to figure out how to push because you couldn't feel.
No. I couldn't even. I don't think I ever figured it out this time. I just did. If they said I was doing good, I just kept going.
Yeah, you just kept doing things until they were like, "That's what you do it. That's how you do it." And you're just like, "All right."
I just was literally.
I thought you were gonna pass out from holding your breath.
I did too. I like 3 or 4 times. I really did too. Because they were just like, push, and they were like. Breathe in, hold your breath, and push and bear down. And I was like, all I'm doing is holding my breath. Like, I don't know how to push right now. I don't have the feeling to do it. Right. So I just held my breath, and that seemed to work. I don't know. Like, I guess it was okay. I still only pushed for about 20 minutes. So, like, all complaints aside,
it was wild too, because literally.
We should definitely put at the top of the hour, like how we always say, don't tell your horror stories to pregnant women. We probably should put, hey, if you don't want to hear like any kind of critiques or not even, it's not a critique, but like any kind of stories about labor that might,
I'll put it in the description.
If you might be sensitive to stories about labor, this one has one.
Sure. So. I'll put it in the description.
Yeah.
So the pushing happens, the baby comes out, and like I'm, obviously I'm checking on you. I'm watching the numbers too. I'm watching for the baby to come out, and like baby comes out. I'm looking at the midwife. I look up, and the doctor's just gone. Like, I literally think that the baby popped out, and the doctor was like, we're here. I'm out of here.
Bye.
Bye. It was the end of the day. Like, you almost called the time exactly. Because earlier when they started your Pitocin, I was like, what time do you think it's going to be? And you were like, I don't know. I was like, well, just take a guess at a time. She goes, I don't know, 6 o'clock? And it was like 5:52. And I was like, wow, that was really close. And I'm guessing it was just like the end of the day, because like I think they said the doctor came over because the practice is just down the street, kind of around the corner, maybe like a 5-minute drive, if that. And so I'm guessing she just came straight over, checked out, she's like, all right, I got to get home and make dinner. Like,
well, I mean, also apparently there were a lot of people that were all having little boys, and none of the babies were cooperating. They kept telling us that they had a bunch of bad little boys in the maternity ward.
Yeah, they said it was chaos. Rampant that night. Rampant. Like they're like they've all been boys, and something's gone sideways with every single one of them.
Well, and I was telling you, I was like, damn, our sonogram tech said that he was due May 9th. Maybe he's just mad we went and got him early.
Maybe so.
He's just not ready. And then they had to go manually get my placenta, which was an experience, a traumatic one, I will say.
Yeah, because for some reason your body didn't.
They stopped pushing Pitocin, so basically once the baby was ejected, my body was like, we're done here. So it stopped having contractions, and the midwife was saying that they want the placenta out within half an hour of the baby being born. Well, that took about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And our first child, they immediately took her to the warmer and started like cleaning out mucus and all the amniotic fluid from her lungs and stuff. And then they put her on my chest, and she started nursing, and we got to hang out. They took that baby out of me this time and put him immediately on my chest, and he stayed there for an hour and a half and didn't move.
Yeah, I clipped the umbilical cord, and then they put him right on your chest, and I was like, why?
He was already on my chest when you clipped it.
Why? I was like, why are they taking him to the table? Blah blah blah. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So
they also commented on how long your umbilical cord was.
Had wrapped around him. It did the same thing with our daughter. I'm just like, damn.
Well, they said that was probably part of it too. Is when the contraction went down, it was probably pinching the hose, so to speak, somewhere, which was slowing the heart rate down.
And so she trigger warning.
The only thing I picked, by the way, before you get the only thing I pictured was like, we all had the grandparent when we were growing up, at least if you're about our age, who had the phone with the really long telephone cable to it.
Peeking.
He's fine. Okay. Really long telephone cord, and you could just go where you could basically walk anywhere in their tiny house. You walk
from the kitchen to the living room to the dining room to the front door with the telephone.
So I was like, in my head, I was like, this like goofy things. Like we've been watching Scrubs, so goofy things play. I was like, huh. Grandma's telephone umbilical cord. Then popped back to reality.
It was a little wild. So I figured out the reason that they gave me my beautiful baby boy and let me just hold him for so long was because they wanted to distract my ass
from the fact they had to get your placenta out.
Yeah, she had to literally go get it with her hands. And I, at one point, noticed that my sternum and rib cage were being touched by someone's hands from inside me, which was horrifying.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that can happen. I didn't know that was possible.
Was she that far up, or was she?
You saw it.
I know, but like the placenta obviously isn't up near your rib cage.
Your uterus is that high at that point. Yes, your placenta is up at your rib cage. Look at what to expect when you're expecting right now, and look at where the baby is on that woman's body. Like that's where your body is.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Your uterus grows to that big, like my uterus is normally down in my pelvis, but when there's a baby in it, it's the size of a watermelon, and a watermelon only fits so far.
So I would say that was the biggest drawback, because I was like trying to find out what was going on, like slyly. I was like, is everything cool? You know?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I think just the fact, she's like, sometimes when you induce the body, like depending on how far along the body gets, it doesn't get the signals to let go of the placenta.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to go in there and get it. It's like, okay.
Wild. I didn't know that.
She was having trouble. I could see her. She was like.
I feel like I screwed up because I was like, go get this child, please, and let's set an induction date. And I did zero research like on what that included. I feel like a little bit the same way with epidurals, as I've always just been so pro epidural, and I'm still pro epidural.
Last one was great.
Yeah, I'm still pro epidural, but
your body's also changed 3 years since then. Like it could be any number of things.
Yeah.
But it's also like you feel that way where you're like, I need to go. I should have gone and researched that, but it's like we're paying people to do that for us. We're paying people to know what's going on there
that's fair.
And to take care of that. So I don't feel so bad about that. I think that it was just kind of one of the things where I think it might just be a dice roll every time.
I mean, and they took great care of us. Don't get me wrong. It's just I was definitely caught off guard a few times. Like
it was a much different experience.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like wonderful nursing staff, wonderful midwives, great doctor. Like all of it. We did have one terrified nurse.
She was
that poor girl.
She was a little new, but she was great.
Yeah, she was very, very sweet. And
we were her entire
she asked
shift.
for help. Yeah, she asked for help when she needed it, and I watched our midwife watching her like a hawk a couple times, but she seemed to differ to expertise when needed.
I heard you say that too. I don't think. I think at one point you said, I think maybe our midwife was a little annoyed with her, and I was like, I don't think so, because I was watching both of them. Mm-hmm. And I think she's just kind of, the midwife has that disposition anyway.
Mm-hmm. Drill sergeant.
Very drill sergeant-y, very, very just to the point. But I don't think I ever picked up that she was mad at the nurse, because the nurse can't help what your blood pressure does.
Yeah.
Nurse didn't give you your epidural. She might have just been annoyed that it's like, I want this to go smoothly, and things are getting in the way of this going smoothly.
Fair. I would be like that if I were a nurse. Totally understand. But yeah, so our son is here.
Yeah.
And he is wonderful, and he is sweet and snuggly and wants to cuddle all the time and barely does anything but eat and sleep.
Longer than child one, lighter in weight than child one.
Yes. Yeah. He was
7 pounds, 15 ounces.
And 22 inches.
22 inches, whereas first child was 8.9 or 8 pounds. I shouldn't say 0.9. 8 pounds, 9 ounces. And 21 inches long. So he was, it was interesting because
he's a little lanky guy.
He is lanky. So even though they were very close in length, we noticed that, and we commented on this with the first kid, she was all torso.
Yeah.
Like very long torso. And then, just normal legs. And he's kind of like all legs and arms. And they're kind of skinny. His feet are very big.
Well, he's chunking up a little bit. He's 8 days old at this point, and he's already put on 8 ounces.
Yeah, he's gained weight, and so usually, I think even with our daughter, she had lost a little bit of weight by her first thing. Now, granted, we went. I want to say it was only like 1 or 2 days after.
Yeah.
To get her checked out for the first time with the pediatrician. We actually waited through the weekend and went on Tuesday.
Yeah, because he got checked by a pediatrician at the hospital a day before the weekend started. So
yeah, I'm trying to remember what he weighed when they weighed him the night before we left. Like she brought the scale in there and weighed him.
Yeah,
I think he'd gone down just a little bit.
I think so too,
because he wasn't fully eating yet. But man, he's been tearing it up since he's been here.
Lord, y'all, I feel
feeding on demand.
I feel used. I feel used and abused.
But at the same time, I feel like you would be, if he wasn't tearing it up, you'd be in pain.
I'd be in pain and I'd be freaking out.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's doing fine.
Yeah.
He's doing great. He's sleeping a lot, which I'm sure is not, that's not long. Once he gets his energy up, he's going to be a little more up and at him.
Active.
Yeah. But I mean, he's as active as a newborn.
Oh, yeah.
So right now he just kind of stares at things. bobs his little head around.
We had a couple of rough nights of sleep in the beginning because newborns, everybody does. But I think we've got the day night switch turning in the right direction.
Yeah.
You were talking about that earlier too. Like, I think we're on the right. We're not there, but you can't be at this point, and we're I think on the right track. Hopefully, knock on wood.
First 2 nights we did I pretty much took watch so you could sleep. I think first time when we had the first kid, we had someone just awake at all times.
Yeah.
Because it's first kid, you don't know what's going on. So between me, you, and whatever grandparent was here in those first 2 weeks, we were just like, I'm on watch tonight. And just stayed up in the living room watching TV
that was 5 or 6 days, something like that.
Something like
that.
But yeah, by night 3, we were like, let's put him in his... We didn't put him in his crib.
He didn't like his crib at first.
So we did I slept on the couch, and we had the pack and play in the living room, and we laid him down to sleep there and just set alarms for feed times, and it worked fine.
Yeah, and I think that's been working better for him because our living room is just warmer, especially if the TV's on, and our son hates cold. Hates cold.
You unwrap him, he's done.
There's a breeze, he hates it.
Yeah.
Send this man to the equator for every vacation. That's gonna be him. So yeah, he wants to be snuggled and bundled and warm at all times.
He's very snuggly. But yeah, so now I think after a few nights, so we did 2 nights of someone was just up with him. And then we did 2 nights of the living room, and then the past couple of nights has just been we're staying up till his latest feeding before the day turns over, which is usually around 10:30, 11 o'clock.
It's usually been 11 to 12:30, somewhere in there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean that's been his last feeding because I'm tracking when can I get a 3-hour break, when can I get a 4-hour break, or when can I string together 6 or 7 hours?
Well, and Sue will get distracted, sit there and talk or watch something on TV and be like, we might as well wait until the next window because why lay him down for an hour?
Yeah, because he's been feeding around 9, and I'm like, I'm not quite ready to go to bed yet, but I should. And then I'm like, well, spend time with my husband.
Yeah.
and I'm like, I should have got some sleep.
So basically, we've just been heading to bed, crashing out, and setting an alarm for whatever 3 or 4 hours. We're trying to push for 4 at night, so 4 hours from the last time he started feeding. Get up, do that, and then obviously address any wake up and soothe.
Yeah.
In between, which just hasn't. It's only been 1 or 2, which has been nice.
Well, let's see. Last night he did good. He only had 1 wake up and soothe. And then the night before, it was every hour on the hour.
Yeah, that was
that one was a rough one.
But I mean, I think we're moving it in the right direction.
Yeah, and you're home with me right now, and you were really sweet. After that rough night, you let me go sleep for 3-4 hours in the middle of the day, which was amazing and needed.
Doctor cleared us for bottles yesterday when we went to see her.
She said he's feeding good, he's latching, he's gaining weight. Give him a bottle.
Just give him a bottle. She's not worried about nipple confusion or anything like that. She's like, whatever. If they're hungry, they'll eat.
Yeah. Especially this one. I think he's just as food motivated as our daughter.
If they're hungry, they'll eat. And honestly, with a bottle, he might not feel like he's drinking from a fire hose.
That's true. Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
So,
yeah, I've got a really strong letdown reflex, which I didn't really understand what it was until we talked to the doctor yesterday after going through a whole breastfeeding with one child for months and months and months. Yeah, it's basically when your boob just takes over and turns the faucet on.
Yeah.
and yeah, it just sprays everything. It's insane. You were like, well, go get a shower where you're not covered with milk. And I was like, I'm just going to be covered in milk once I get out of the shower again.
Yeah.
That's how it works now.
But it still accumulates and you just feel grimy after a while.
Absolutely.
So it's I don't know. It's been interesting because I don't feel like the letdown was that much on the last one.
It was. I do. I was very stressed out with the last one too. Yeah. So I felt
maybe we just noticed because he's eating so much more.
Yeah,
he's eating a lot.
He's eating. Yeah, I think he's doing more than our daughter did. But I also think we're just better organized this time around. We know what to prioritize, so there's no guesswork. There's no you know, when you go to clean your house and you just kind of pick up random things all the way around instead of just focusing on one room at a time. Well, we know what to focus on this time. Like I haven't missed a day for a shower since we've been home, which did not happen with our first kid. Like people had to remind me to go shower and take care of myself. Like, but it's been better this time, I think.
We've only got, I think last time we set up like 3 or 4 bases in the house. Mm-hmm. And so I think this time we were kind of smart enough to be like, all right, 2 home bases. We got the baby's room. We've got the main living room. And all the stuff can just, if anything needs to move, it just goes right down the hall. Yeah. Doesn't have to go downstairs. Doesn't have to go over here. Doesn't have to go over there. I think the fact that like he naps pretty good helps out a lot too.
Yeah. And he naps around noise. Like our daughter's running around yelling and screaming. Like
doesn't wake him up. We sit there and we have full volume conversations and watch TV, and he's just sleeping fine, which I think is probably the better bet. I think that was probably like some of the best advice we got from like one of our neighbors was like just do everything normal level around them, vacuum the house, do all this other stuff. And I think he's fine. I'm watching. Yeah, so it's been cool, but he's here and we're happy.
Our daughter is very excited about her baby brother. She's
excited and indifferent. Like it just depends on what
I think she's excited. I think that she's making sure that we still got time for her, so she's testing us a little bit, but yeah. I think she's pumped about him. She wants to give him hugs and kisses and help him. She checks on him when he's yelling about a diaper change because he's cold.
Yeah.
Like she
isn't putting any of her like confusion or frustration on him, which is nice. And I think we presented it all correctly.
As well as
she doesn't feel like she's being replaced. She just wants to make sure we're still there. We've had some not really sleep regression, but some bedtime regression.
Yeah. The smoothness of walking out of a bedroom with no argument went away for a couple of days, but
yeah. It's gone away for one night so far. Last night was the first night.
Yeah, you're right.
We didn't get called back in.
But I mean, like the only thing I think that we can do with her on that is just use a bunch of empathy because she's going through it. Like this is weird.
And she might not even realize it's attached to him.
Yeah,
to him being here.
I don't think she does. But I think the one big thing that helped us yesterday is you busted out the bikes and the scooters, and we just spent the entire afternoon when she got home riding bikes and scooters with her while I sat there and fed the baby, held the baby, hung out with her still, like let her show me how to dance, danced with her some, like, and the baby participated sort of as much as he can.
Yeah.
And that helped. I was just like, she's so determined, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was worried about her getting mad about us having to divert our attention.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was kind of worried about it, but because
she's good at so many things like sharing and stuff like that. Yeah. And she's kind. So I wasn't like really harping on the worry, but it was in the back of my mind.
You're still going to worry.
Yeah.
Like you're still going to worry about it.
Yeah.
That's not abnormal. But I'm just glad I'm glad that portion of it's smooth, and I'm sure there's things that are going to come up because there always are. But right now, as far as I don't feel like she feels threatened by the baby. I think that she just is just kind of like, I feel different because she sees us helping someone else out. And I think that it's all reassurance. And that's what I've been telling any of my friends that ask, like, what's the first kid think about the new kid? And it's just kind of like, she's been great about him.
Yeah.
I think there's just some things that she doesn't know how to quite parse feelings wise that we're working her through it.
Yeah, I still think she's doing great too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, I think she was so excited when I came home, and like the first thing I did was start roughhousing with her.
Yeah.
I was like, tackle hug. And her eyes lit up, and she was just like, oh gosh, mom's back. Like, cause I've been telling her, no, I can't play like that. No, you can't jump on me. No, you can't climb me. No, careful. Yeah. And I was like promising her it would not be for forever. Like, I have a baby in my tummy. You have to be careful. Like, because we can't hurt the baby. Can't hurt mama. Like, and now I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
And
to the point where you went back at it a little hard.
She was like, you stay away from me, mommy. I was like,
well, that, and you like felt like your back was going out. I was like, hey, you're not all back yet.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, my back is tired. I should probably let up. But it didn't feel like it was like about to slip, thank goodness. But she was, I was just so excited to see her face though when she realized like we could play again like we used to, because her eyes lit up with realization. And I was just like, oh, that felt good. That felt good to give her that.
Yeah.
Like give her that little happiness dopamine dose. And then I feel like she got the same kind of look in her eyes when she realized, because she kept demanding to turn on the TV yesterday, and I was like, let's go outside, let's go play, let's go do something. And she's like, no, I want to watch Super Kitties. And I was like, no, let's go do something. We're going to take a break from TV. And then we got outside, and she kind of realized we're playing like all together, and she got that like that excited wonderment look in her eyes. And
yeah, it was good.
I was like, oh, thank goodness.
It was good. You know, the lack of sleep hasn't been. It sucks. It always sucks to not get a lot of sleep, but it's not been as bad as I don't know, as you build it up in your mind sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I was really
there's been a couple of nights, like I've had one night where I was like, I am delirious right now, and you had that day yesterday was pretty rough
until I got that nap. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So,
I mean, like you said, I built it up in my mind worse. It's not great. It's not fun, but we're okay.
So the ball's rolling. We're in week 2 now with the new kid, and I am technically off work for another week or so, week and a half. But I'm thinking about going back just to kind of save some of that time because I can use it later.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's nice being off, but like
it's really nice having you here.
I know, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, but I could use this for like, you know, we're talking about trying to get like a small vacation in before
It'd be great.
You go back to work, and I'm like, well, I could save that time for that.
I would like that. I would really like that. So, you know, I'm willing to compromise here.
So we're talking about going and visiting some family at some point, and just trying to plan it all out and just kind of bridge the gap between your leave and when, you know, baby starts daycare, which
which is a big gap. I felt like the gap was only 2 weeks with our daughter, and she was born 3 weeks earlier. So I don't know how the hell that works with the calendar.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah. I did have, I know. I had 12 weeks with her. I only got 10 weeks this time.
You have more. Yeah. Because you have more. You had your, what is it?
Carryover.
Temporary disability.
Yeah, short-term disability.
Short-term disability, and you had more carryover.
I did joke with you. I was like, the one benefit to a C-section would have been I would have got 2 extra weeks off.
Yeah. Would have covered the gap nicely there, but
it's fine.
That recovery would suck.
I wouldn't have wanted to recover from that. This recovery has been easier than our first child.
I could tell by I could tell by day 2 that you were feeling better than you were, even though you were still like you had just given birth the day before. I was like, she's already up and like pretty much up and moving.
I didn't feel like I remember showering at the hospital with our first daughter, and I could barely like sit on the bench in the shower. Like my legs wouldn't even work as great. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I stood up in the shower the entire time. I didn't even fold the bench down. There was no room in the shower to fold the bench down, really. This one was a little smaller than the last room on the shower setup. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I was fine. It was just like taking a shower at home.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because I even asked you, I was like, here, you seem like you are recovering better this time. And you're like, absolutely. Because I feel like for the first week you were back, everything was like really just like very touchy, very tender. You were trying to like, and it might have just been being careful and, you know, thinking about new baby and stuff like that.
It hurt. Like I remember the recovery with her was, it was sore. Like I was sore and everything was tender, like all the time.
I wonder if it's just like your body's just like, I've been through this before.
That's what bounces back. I kind of wonder that too.
Who knows? Or maybe it's just like we said with, you know, labor. Everything's a dice roll, you know.
Maybe. I mean, they did tell me like, yeah, with our first daughter, you after, you know, natural delivery, you bleed a lot. And then I didn't this time that much. I mean, I did, like I still did, but not nearly like that. Like I was having trouble keeping up with like changing all of the, like the garments and stuff and dressings and everything without just it being a wreck every time the first time I had a child. And this time is like going through my monthly. It's nothing. And
by day 2, you were like, it's not that much bad. More than that.
Yeah. And they were saying that probably because the midwife had to go in there and get my placenta, she pretty much took care of half of that for me. I was like,
oh yeah, that might be true. I didn't think about that.
That's what they told me when I was asking a little bit about
out of there.
Yeah. So benefits, I guess.
Love it.
Still a little traumatized. Still a little traumatized.
But we're here. We made it. I don't know what's even next. Like right now, you got some time off to look forward to hang out with him.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to get to know him, see what color his eyes are gonna turn next.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be brown. Now they're looking kind of dark, bluish gray.
Yeah,
steely gray.
It's wild.
But they're gonna change a lot between now and then because our daughters did for sure.
He looks just like you. Ooh, bump the mic. Sorry.
You have to beat the mic up.
I know, but he looks
She's so mad that he looks like me.
I am.
She hit the mic.
I'm like looking for family members of mine he looks like. Just be like, he's like my great grandpappy.
Oh, he hates me already. The same contempt.
He does have contempt for it. He's got an eyebrow that kicks up like the rocks. And he just looks at us like,
he's very much
you guys serious the whole time?
I think you would, like you said, skeptical is probably the best way because he's just kind of like, I don't know about you guys. It's kind of got that look like, I don't know about this.
Y'all sure you know what you're doing? That's what he keeps looking.
Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't look like it. You look like people who laid around a lot drinking bullet bourbon and eating Sour Patch Kids.
The last time you did this.
I don't know if I can trust you. You still sound asleep.
Okay.
You keep looking at the back of this thing and I'm like, he's fine. Leave it alone.
I can't hear him. He's got the cutest little like shriek scream too. I don't even.
First couple of nights he sounded like
it was
rubber chicken. When you squeeze a chicken and he goes.
He's really come into his own with his actual like shrieking to get us to do what he wants now. But oh my God, it was like this sweet little coo at the same time. It's, I don't know.
He's a very gassy, colicky first couple of days.
Oh my God, that poor baby.
We had to navigate that whereas we were trying to figure out what was going. We didn't figure out like we knew. Well, you mentioned it was gas pain like the next day. You're like maybe it's gas, which we're like most likely, but we also hadn't realized yet that he just does not like being cold.
Yeah.
So the gas pain on top of getting cold, he was just like inconsolable.
Because when he's cold too, he shakes and shivers. I was joking that because I was shaking the entire delivery, this did that to him. But like when you shake like that though, your muscles tense up, and if you've already got a bunch of gas pain in your stomach, your muscles are tensing more, making that worse. So I'm sure he was real uncomfortable that first time.
You want to know how I just figured out our dog was in this room?
She farted.
Yeah, it's terrible. You were talking, I like sat up and I looked around. I was like, where is she? I smell her. She's terrible. She's stinking us out of our rooms.
You're smelling her twice as much as I am.
I think it just flows. Like the flow of this room just brings it right by my nostrils. But yeah, so once you figured that out, I was like, oh, we need to get one of those. You know, one of our friends that just had a kid a month or two ago was just like, oh man, we've been living and dying by the Frida Wendy's.
Yeah.
And
it was like yet another Frida product I swore I'd never use until my kid needed it. And I was like, go get it right now.
First it was the Frida
nose sucker.
Yeah. What is it called? That's just called the.
What is it called?
I think it's just called a Frida baby.
Nose Frida, right?
Yeah, nose Frida or something like that. So we got that on the first child. The first time she had like bad, stuffiness. Wasted no time there.
No.
And then this one is called the Frida Wendy, and essentially it's just a little tube with a tinier tube on one side, and you massage their belly, and then you place this in their bum.
Poor baby.
And it just releases all the gas, and boy howdy does it work.
It works. Amazing. He felt amazing, and we haven't had to do it.
He immediately stopped crying.
Yeah, and like I think his digestive system is like working better now, so we haven't had to really do it too much now, and he's able to burp easier now that he can like kind of sit up straight and has a little more muscle control. He's already holding his head up, which is wild.
Yeah.
So I mean, for the most part, he still needs a little.
He can't sit on his own.
Yeah.
He'll lift his head up for random periods of time.
Yeah. So like with all that comes easier burping, comes less gas. Thank God. He's doing a lot better. But for a minute there, I was like, oh no.
We thought we were gonna have like a super colicky baby.
Yeah.
He's still got a lot of,
and we still got a ways to go. Who knows, but
we still got a long way to go, but he is doing a lot better. I think it was just that initial startup of all of his organs starting to work and trying to process any and all that milk, and because he had just started, he ramped up pretty quick. He was eating a lot in the hospital. Because they give you a little, at least in our hospital, they gave us a little feeding schedule because the doctor wants to see how often is he eating, how often is he having bowel movements,
how long
often
is he eating
is he wetting his diaper. And the first day they came in, they're like, oh wow, you guys are doing great, like because it was just, we had the whole thing, the whole first day was almost full by the time they came by. And I think that it was just his organs were just finally like, all right, how do we work?
Yeah. How do I process all this? Yeah.
So, but
his first bath was terrible. Poor thing.
His first bath was, it was rough.
Oh God. Yeah. No, his real first bath was even worse.
Yeah. They made the water a little too hot at the hospital. Didn't scald him, thankfully, but it was.
We were scared it did. Like, oh God, after that labor, that poor baby, they like wrap him in a swaddle and then sit them in a basin of water, and the basin that they use in the hospital has like an indicator if the water's too hot or something, supposedly. Well, they sit our baby in, and he just immediately starts screeching. And he's right by my bed, my hospital bed, and I stick my hand in there and realize that's hotter than my shower, like that I shower in. And I was like, it's so hot. Get him out, get him out, get him out. And we got him out, and I've had second degree burns before, or almost third degree. And it was because wet clothing sat on my skin, like that had gotten soaked with scalding water. And so I'm like, get him out of that. And we got him open, and he's blood red, like he's just the color of a tomato. And I'm like, holy cow, what has just happened to my baby? Like, oh my God, can we get out of here? Since
then we've learned that he turns really red when he gets mad.
When he gets mad, he screams and turns really red. Didn't know that at the time, but that water was hot. And they
came and checked him.
They came and checked him, and we watched for blisters, and nothing came up, thank goodness. And they were very worried and very apologetic. And the main nurse came in and was like, they should be checking it with their hand too. And I felt bad for the girl that did, because I know she didn't mean to.
Yeah, she's really sweet.
She was really sweet. We never saw her again. So it was just.
It was our last night in the hospital too.
Yeah, and we had delayed bath because we wanted, like, there's a bunch of benefits apparently to having the Vernix coat on them for 24 hours. So it was just horrible. I was talking about his first bath at home because thankfully I had blocked that terrible memory already.
I honestly was too. I didn't know if we would. I mean, I thought about the other bath, but I was like, I don't know if we're bringing that up. But either way, he had a very similar reaction to a very mild temperature bath,
sponge bath that we did not submerge him in because he had an umbilical cord still there, which was sneezies. Oh God, this kid sneezes like a grown man too. He sneezes like 20 times in a row, like a grown man. It's wild.
I've counted. He hasn't passed 4 for me, like in a row.
Same. I was just exaggerating.
He does sneeze a lot, just because I guess newborns sneeze a lot. I didn't know that. And yeah, so he did not like his first bath.
And it was just a sponge bath too. He just hated being cold so much that you took a picture. It's a terrible picture of me, but it is a perfect picture of an angry newborn. He he doesn't look real. That's how angry he looks, and he's holding his head straight up off me to scream directly at the camera.
Yeah, he's screaming, and your face is just like, "Oh my God, what is happening?"
What is happening? And then when his very stinky umbilical cord finally fell off.
Oh my God, that was so terrible.
You nicknamed him Stinky for like 3 days.
Well, I don't feel like, I'm sure our daughters didn't smell good, but his was like, you couldn't help but smell it. Like, at least with my daughter, I think you had to at least get close.
Maybe.
But I don't remember smelling it. And you know how I am. Like, I'm going to remember that forever. Ugh. Ugh.
Well,
But it fell off like by day 3. I think 4 or 5, maybe 5.
it fell off like Sunday.
So that'd be day 5 then.
Yeah, 5. So.
But I'm all for it. I was like, yep, get that out of here.
Yeah.
Get that out of here. It was terrible.
And then we were able to give him a submersion bath then, and water check the temperature, and
He wasn't happy, but he was
so much more chill at the beginning. By the end, he was still pissed and he was still yelling.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, he was like, "What is this? Okay, what'd you do? What witchcraft is this?"
Yeah, he started crying when we put it, and then he was like, "Oh, well,
What?
hey, I'm in the water.
He was very unsure.
He's like,
what
am I
we were
back?
doing.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Are we back in the cozy spot?"
But he's a cutie pie. He's pretty funny. He roots like a little. Like my mom says, puppy dog. But I think he looks like a shark in the water looking for blood.
Yeah, he's funny, man.
He goes
really
for it.
He goes for
very
it.
fast.
Yeah, he does that thing. So we every now and then we'll give him a passy to kind of calm him down, and when he wants it, he's just like he whips his head around so quick, and always like almost every time knocks the passy out of my hand.
Yeah,
I have to reset. And then his hands betray him because they'll just come up and just grab him and pop it out of his mouth.
I remember our daughter did that too, though.
Yeah.
Her hands would always betray her.
So you almost have to like anticipate him going for the passy, get the passy in, and hold it there until his hands calm down, because his hands immediately start grabbing everything.
I feel like he doesn't care about passies as much as our daughter did. Like, she cared immediately and held on to it for dear life as much as soon as she could figure it out. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The child is young. He can become dependent very soon.
Oh, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying initially I don't think he's as driven by it, but
yeah,
we shall see.
Trying to think. Oh yeah, that's it right now. I'm sure next week we can start looking at some like what to expect or milestones.
We'll start getting into our schedule probably the end of next week. And right now we've already started incorporating him in story time that our daughter does. She really likes having him there for story time. Feels like everybody's together. We put him down a couple of times for like he was already just sound asleep and trying to get him in his crib, and she was like, "Why is the baby not in here?"
Yeah.
Like,
we are currently just in those first 2 weeks. Survive. He gets to feed on demand. So we got about another week of that. When does he start an actual? So week 3, do we start an actual schedule on demand feeding stops at that point?
I mean, yes,
You can still hook them up.
Yeah, like with our daughter though, like I feel like we'll treat it approximately the same way we did with them. Like if they're severely upset, I'm gonna feed them. Like if that's what they're wanting, like growth spurts, give them extra feeds, kind of thing. But I think he's in a growth spurt right now, in fact. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do on the 3s, 3, 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12, like, and you'll drop it goes to a longer period of time at the nighttime feedings. It's like instead of nighttime, I think you feed at 9 and then at 1 or 2.
You do like a quick feed, like
in the middle of the night, and then you stretch them to 6 or 7, I think. So, so that will be essentially the schedule we go to when he hits 3 weeks. So,
very nice.
Yep,
we're enjoying it. Anything else you want to talk about? Or I think we kind of gave the update. So
yeah, I mean that's all I can really think of right now.
Yeah, he's here. Everyone.
We got 2 kids. We're a family of 4 now.
Yeah, never gonna be pregnant again. It's gonna be great.
That was the punctuation mark on my childbearing years if I've ever seen one.
Never again.
No.
Never ever again.
I'm good.
Need to go talk to the doctor.
It's so weird, man. That first pregnancy, I felt like a pregnant goddess. Like that was the way I was meant to exist. And this one, I was like, I wouldn't do this anymore.
It was like the 2-year pregnancy.
It was.
Which we talked about. I mean,
Yeah.
it just felt like a long time, but
Everybody felt like it wasn't just me. Like everyone felt like I was pregnant for forever. My coworkers, our family, everyone agrees. Like,
I wonder what that manipulation of time is like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it makes me get some Loki vibes. It's like
it's weird.
the same quantity of time is passing, but it's passing slower for some reason.
And we're getting older, which normally makes time pass faster. Like so, and time for our daughter didn't slow down one damn bit. It sped up because she's a teenager now.
She's like an adult.
Yeah.
Took a picture of the other day. I was like, look at her watching TV. Like,
oh yeah, she had her foot kicked up on her knee.
Mm-hmm. And she's just looking like a little adult. It was weird.
Oh, it's so strange.
Very weird.
She said some funny stuff lately too. We'll have to start writing some things down that she says between now and the next episode because good God, she's cracking me up lately.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you all being here. We're a little sleep deprived, so if we're spacey, apologies.
Yeah.
But you can reach us at PUnpreparedPod on Twitter. You can email us if you want to, apparentlyunprepared@gmail.com. And rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Helps us out a ton. That's it for now. Let's go check on this napping kid and continue the survival of the first 2 weeks.
Time for more laundry. Let's do it.
It never ends.
No. It's way worse now.
Milk on everything.
You're lucky if it's milk.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.